I think it's safe to say that this is one of my favorite pieces of cast iron. This waffle iron comes from the James Smart Manufacturing Company in Brockville, Canada, and it's over 100 years old, made of cast iron with those wooden handles. It's really, really something special. I think it's got a beautiful design. As you can see, it opens up and flips for even cooking on both sides. With the stove plate that's included, this is a great device. It sits over the burner. I'm not going to lie, this was a pricey purchase, but when I saw it in an online auction, I knew it had the potential to be a beautifully restored piece. Here's that oven cover again. As you can see, the waffle iron fits perfectly inside, allowing it to sit over the burner and to make some excellent waffles. Still a lot of rust in there, going to take some scrubbing, but I think it's going to clean up really nicely. The first step in restoring it was removing the wood handles. Luckily, they unscrewed easily. I don't have a studio set up for woodworking, but I figure at some point these could use a good sanding and maybe a restain. But for now, I've decided to leave the original faded stain because it has a beautiful color. And I'll set aside those handles and start the restoration process. So for this one, I've decided it's going to go into the lye bath. I could have used the electrolysis tank, but the lye bath felt like a better choice for stripping away the carbon buildup. Um, there's a lot of rust, which could have worked well in the electrolysis tank, but I just wanted it to sit better and be submerged. It would have been hard to hang, and I'll do another video of the electrolysis tank process at some point. So I'm repositioning it just to ensure every part is fully submerged. Now, for those that are interested, the lye bath mixture is 1 pound of lye crystals to 5 gallons of water. Some people use a little more lye, but this ratio worked for me. You have to be very careful though. Always add lye to water, never the other way around. Stir it lightly. Safety gear is a must. Gloves and eye protection. Don't want to forget about the oven attachment part too. Make sure everything soaks. And after 48 hours, I go to check on it. I usually leave pieces in for 2 to 5 days, but longer doesn't hurt. If enough carbon hasn't come off, I'll let it soak. I've left pieces in for up to a week before. But as you can see with this piece, the manufacturer's name and logo are much clearer now. A lot of carbon is lifted off. Some areas that looked damaged were just heavy buildup. Even inside the lye bath worked its magic. So I think I'm going to take it out now. And also don't want to forget that the base was in there too. A little bit of carbon, real tough carbon buildup at the top there, but I'm going to give that a good scrub and hopefully we'll take care of that as well. At this point, I'm pretty excited because I knew that after a good scrub and seasoning that this piece was going to turn out beautifully. So after the lye bath or the electrolysis, depending on the project, I always do a thorough soapy scrub. Here I'm rinsing off all the lye, making sure I keep my gloves on because, again, you don't want that lye to hit your skin. I'm using dish soap and a stainless steel scrubber. Some people prefer steel wool, but either works. I like the stainless steel scrubbers because you can reuse them time and time again. They won't get rusty on you. And as you can see, the extra layers of carbon are coming off. I really enjoy this stage. It's when you can really start to feel that the piece is coming back to life. You're getting down to the raw iron, and that's how you know exactly what you have at that point. This one was a little bit of a pain, so I ended up using a steel wire brush to really get in and out between all those waffle making grooves. When we first got it, it was incredibly rusty, and I really realized that it needed a very good scrub at this point. From the tub into the evaporust mixture. Once again, as I said, this thing had a lot of rust on it when we first saw it. So I'm going to give it a good soak just to finally get all those extra little rusty bits taken care of. And the reward, the raw iron. You can see how beautiful this piece looks compared to when we first got it. How all that carbon came off. There's literally no damage to this piece whatsoever. This is my favorite part of the restoration process, seeing it at the raw state. This piece I was not looking forward to seasoning. Basically, what we're doing is rubbing on a compound. I use a compound by a guy named Cast Iron Chris. It's made with different oils and wax, and it works really, really well. But this is the part that protects your cast iron from all future issues. The important step here is you rub this thing on everywhere. Get it in all the nooks and crannies, all the different areas, surface area of the pan, in this case, in this waffle iron. Give it a nice good rub. I like doing this, very methodical process. This one certainly also takes lots of time. What happens with seasoning is it creates a protective layer. The seasoning process of cast iron is called polymerization. This occurs when oils or fats are heated past their smoke point, breaking them down and forming a hardened, slick layer of polymerized oil. This creates the non-stick, rust-resistant surface that makes cast iron so effective. And to get this properly, you need to actually season this 4 times. So this entire process, from the seasoning to into the oven, has to be done 4 times. And by far the most painful part of the seasoning process, especially when dealing with this cast iron waffle iron, is the removal of all that oil. So this is what cast iron restorers say. Apply the oil on, but then before it goes into the oven for the polymerization, rub all that oil off. Basically, rub it off like you're allergic to the oil. Rub it off like that oil was never supposed to be on there in the first place. And as you can see, I'm literally going over each row and column here to make sure every single little bit of oil is taken off. And I can tell you this process took a long time. And as I said before, I actually had to go through and do this 4 times. Of course, I didn't forget the base. It needed seasoning too. This was a much easier job, but just as important, this base will get a lot of exposure from oil when cooking the waffles, so it needs to be protected for easy cleaning. And again, this will also get 4 rounds of the seasoning, each round after it goes into the oven. Speaking of which, the oven, after wiping and seasoning, it goes into a 450-degree oven for 50 minutes. I do this 4 times. This is the polymerization process here. Finally, this is what you get to see, a brand new pan. Am I proud of this one? Absolutely. This is a 100-year-old waffle iron that went from a rusted carbon cake mess into a brand new pan. There's not a single flaw I can find in this one. It's really just beautiful. And if you're wondering how well it works, well, I gave it a test, and as you can see, with a little oil and a little luck, it made a perfect waffle. This thing flips evenly, cooks beautifully, and I couldn't be happier with the result.